So today we're going to work on this Alpina 070. No idea about this saw, never worked on one, but let's try and get it run. All I've done is put some brake clean in the inlet and it fired up for a second, and that is all I've done. So let's see if we can get this thing running and possibly back to cutting some wood and getting used. So like with a lot of projects over the next few months, this was my dad's. I have no idea where he got it, how he got it, if it was running when he got it. Probably, well, most of the stuff he got was given to him because it was faulty. He didn't ever buy stuff, so I mean, it should run, it should be okay. When I got this, it was just the body, and luckily I found an orange bag which is over there. Stuff like, there was a couple of bars, quite a few chains. There's a chain in each one of these covers. There's a few chains here, some are still sealed. There's some carb bits and bolts and all sorts. There's stuff under there still. In that bag I managed to find a bar that fits this also. So this was just a block and I've got a bar on there. I've not actually had this thing running, but that's another project. So all I've done is took this air filter off. Pretty dirty. And basically just give it a blast of some brake clean, pulled it over and it fired up for like a second, turned off. So it's got compression, all the ignition's working, so that's a good sign. Interestingly, this is the fuel cap. Didn't realise that at first. Seems a bit silly, but I'm used to the fuel going in the side. But yeah, it's pretty grim. So the fuel tank is basically just the 2-stroke oil. In fact, what is the mix? I have to actually check. It's on the cap. 5%? Yeah, 5%. So it probably makes sense to check the plug. So we'll pull that out. I might do a compression test. I know it's got spark, I've heard it run. The fuel tank needs cleaning, which I can do with this on the system. And there will be a fuel filter in there, I would have thought. I have to get a pick in there and pull the fuel line down. I might. The fuel line feels okay actually. It's not too stiff. The choke is functioning, so it's not stuck. Throttle's loose. The carb looks pretty clean. We'll get the plug out, and we may as well check for compression. It's actually pretty decent. I don't really know what the gap should be. Wow, it's a champion plug. Made in England as well. It's that's CJ7Y. Hopefully it's the right one. I have to check that. But yeah, just to show you guys if it's turned on. Jump. Probably can't. Nah, you won't be able to see that from there, but it is sparking. Bit of a pain this, but if it hasn't got good compression, then what is the point really? Because to rebuild all this will cost me quite a bit. So I'm gonna put a cable tie around this just to keep the throttle open. These things are a pain to get compression on. So got full throttle. Choke is open. What have we got? Oh, 120 psi. Would like it a bit higher, but that's fine. It's over 90 for an old saw. That's pretty good. It's good enough to give me the motivation to carry on. So I'll just get this out and we'll cut that and I'll get back. I'm going to take this chain off in the bar just to make it easier to kind of move it around. We don't need it at the moment. Plus I might need to inspect the clutch. Oh wow. That was Still engaged. Bar off. So it's a bit easier to move around, see what's going on. The sprocket's not the best condition. It's got a bit of wear. It looks like they might have put the wrong chain on at some point. When I look at this pull start, see what's going on. The paws are actually on the motor side. Right, so this literally just grabs the paws. So when the engine's spinning, these will be sticking out, which is why it wasn't engaging. Ah, right, so it was probably my fault then. So I'm guessing with this kind of setup, you have to pull it and you got to wait for the motor to come to a stop, because if you try to pull it again while it's spinning, well, it's spinning this way, it will be still open. So that noise is probably them just flopping about. They're not really shut properly. Gap looks even. It's all clean. There's no rust or corrosion. Do a bit of cardboard to check that, but that looks pretty good. Make sure these are nice and tight, which they are. So on that side, I think that's good. There it is. Well, that's pretty nasty looking. There's always plenty as well. There should be plenty of slack to pull the filter out. You can clean the screen on it as well. I mean, the screen looks dirty, but it doesn't look blocked or anything. Didn't realise there was still fuel in there. So there's the filter. You see it down there? And to be fair, the screen is intact. So I think for now, I might just give this a clean. Basically just put some fuel in, give it a shake around, pour it out. Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of fuel in there actually. Let's get the fuel out. It's good for painting your fence. It's like creosote. That's exactly what it smells like actually. Oh. That's not. What's that just falling out? What does this do? Looks like some sort of a valve. Let's go on the fuel cap. Oh yeah, it goes in the fuel cap. So this is just out of an old machine. It's just been sitting for a couple of years, but it's obviously two-stroke oil. To be fair, it'll probably be perfectly fine. It smells fine, looks fine. It's a bit murky, but that's because I've poured it into a dirty jug. But I just want to basically just keep that rubbish at the bottom. I just want to put some fresh, kind of fresh fuel in there and give it a good shake up and flush the tank. Now you can take the tank out, but you've got to split the case, I would imagine, to get that out. It would be a huge job to remove the fuel tank on this, it really would. I don't know much about this saw, but I know that would be a pain. Also, it'll be a good chance to see some leaks, if there is any. I would expect, if there is one, where the fuel line goes into the tank is there. It could leak there, so we're nice and dry. Got some fuel from the cap, or the vent. Vent's bubbling. That actually shows that we have a bit of pressure, so the tank must be still sealed. Let's have a look, see how bad it is. Yeah, it's quite a bit of rubbish in the bottom. Still murky, so what I'll do is just gently, so I'll just pour the top bit in. And now you can see all that at the bottom. It's not a great deal, but you want it out. So do this 2 or 3 times, and I'll get back to you when I pour it out, pour it back in, and there's nothing left in the bottom of the bowl. I cleaned it out 5 times, and it's pretty clean now. Even the filter itself looks a bit cleaner. So happy with that. I did check the spark plug. I should have checked the model number actually, make sure it's the right model number, but the gap, if I can get this on, what is going on? The gap should be 0.5 millimeters, and it is exactly 0.5. Just going to put some oil. Piston looks pretty clean actually. It's got a bit of corrosion, but nothing. Let's move that around. It will mean it's a bit harder to start. Obviously you'll foul the plug, it'll smoke a lot, but it just gives a bit of lubrication to the top end, and that'll seep down past the rings a little bit as well. Just to hopefully do no damage. Is that the date? Someone can maybe say in the comments. 1190? Is that November 1990? If it is, that'll make this 35 years old. We will need some oil, which is interesting. That actually just says there SAE 30. So I normally use chain lube oil, which is quite thick and gooey, but that's asking for the straight engine oil, so that's different. Should that whole thing come off? I can't help but think that should that not go off there? Oh well, maybe that's how it's meant to be. It looks like that should have came off. Just clean the threads. Looks fairly clean in there, to be fair. I might actually just put just a bit of fuel. Tell me in the comments I'm doing it wrong. I know you shouldn't really put fuel in here, but I just want to make sure there's not a bunch of debris, some bit chunks of wood and all sorts in there that's going to jam up the pump. See, look at all that just came out. What is a bit worrying is, what was that? Why was that loose? Is it loose? Oh, I'm doing very good here. So that's broke off. So we might have an issue with the oil side. probably won't have access, any other access other than that one little hole, which is great. Wait, there it is. So that should be attached to something. What is that? Why is there a pin going through it? Is that normal? Don't know. Obviously, oh god, that is just mush. Oh, it's a pin. It's a pin holding that. Oh my god, it's just like sludge. Never seen that before. Right, it's most of it. So off camera, I'm going to get the last bits out and give it a clean. And I'll get back to you when that is looking a lot better. Well, that was pretty gross. So, a lot cleaner. I can't get whatever that is off. It's like I think it's where the pin went through. It's like corrosion. Put that back in there so I don't lose it. Filter's clean. That will do the job. But obviously the hose is no longer with us. So, how am I going to get access to that? That is the question. So, obviously this pipe here, this is going to the bar. So this needs to be filled up from the tank. So around here somewhere will be a hose going into the tank. Do I need to replace it now? Probably not. The machine might not even run, but it would be nice to have that ready to go if it does run. So to remove it, I'm probably going to have to remove the flywheel, which is a bit of a shame. Get the impact on that, see if I can get that off. I might have to lock the piston up, so the spark plug might need to come back out, which is a bit of a shame, but not to worry. I'll get a 13 or 12 mil and we'll try and get that off. Right, so let's see how easily this comes off. This is probably why one of the fins is broke. Because I know you're not supposed to do this, but it does work. Right, see how tight it is. We need to pull it, or will it just pop off? It's all in really good condition. I'll have to remove that banjo bolt. So that disconnects the fuel, the oil, sorry. Do this out of the way, really. Should be alright. What's that do? Oh, there's the hose. Oh, there's a spring as well. Looking at seeing that. So that's the hose, which is oh, it's gross. I was going to douse it in some carb cleaner, but then I seen the gasket. I don't want to destroy the gasket. I have nothing for this. I've got no air filter, no spark plug, no gaskets, no carb rebuild kits, so hopefully I can do this without needing to order anything. I wasn't going to bother, but then I seen inside of there, which is part of the pump mechanism. I just wanted to make sure it's nice and clean. It's still gunked up like, but we'll see what I can do. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the oil pump, has that come off? That's handy. Wow. Now, should this have grease in it? I don't know. It probably should, because it's all metal. So I wonder if this is kind of just all dirty grease. So should I put grease in here again, or is it not required? I don't know what to do. I don't suppose it'll hurt if I do put some grease in. I don't know why there's a hole in there. Ugh. Right in the face. Well, that should run better, one would think. Yeah, so to me that doesn't look like chain lube and dirt, I don't think. It feels too smooth. Almost looks intentional. You've got a metal part, mechanical part here, it spins, and that's metal, so you need some sort of lubrication there, I guess, otherwise you're going to just wear it out, aren't you? So you see down there now, it's closed, open, so oil shoots out and it closes. I like that. I can see why people like these saws. Definitely an improvement. So I'm just going to put some grease back in, and that was just on, how was it on? Like that? Yeah. And that just so it sucks the oil in and squirts the oil out. Basically that was like in there, which I've never seen this before. It's a pretty cool idea. I don't know if this is how it's meant to be, but, and then that was through the hose. There we go. So that's in. I think basically there was like, I've chucked it now, but about that much. It wasn't much at all, because you want this flat on the bottom, so you don't really want loads of excess hose. So we'll just go with about there. So there's a valve, I think. Yeah, when you push down on the valve you can blow through, and it's a spring that provides that pressure, and this is fuel and oil grade hose. It's actually for 2 strokes. There you go. Cool little bolts these if you've not seen them before. Essentially the oil can go through the centre and come out them holes. Pretty cool. That's just a 10mm. Don't need to be super tight. Just nip it up. We had a very good spark, but I just want to clean up, I can't see. I just want to clean up these contacts there, there and here. They're not too bad, they're just a bit grubby. There we go. And actually looks really good, that. That's a lot better. So we should get very good spark, hopefully. That's nice and greased up. The keyway is that way. Got them fixed. That took longer than it should have done. I could not figure out what was going on with these. I was like, they're not right. Have they been like this the whole time? But what must have happened is when I've took this flywheel off, these must have rotated round, so they're actually in reverse order. But that's how they should be, because that is where your pull start grips on these bits here, and then when the engine runs, they open up so they don't catch. So that is all done. That is tightened up. I have actually flushed out the oil one last time, because I did notice a few bits fall in when I was putting the pump back in. So that's clean enough. There's a filter on there, so don't have to worry too much about it, but I'd rather be as clean as I can possibly get it. For some reason, and this, I'm guessing because it's an old machine, the oil cap says SAE30. So SAE30. I normally use proper chainsaw lube, but that's what it calls for. So I'll give it a bit. I don't want to totally fill the tank because this could leak everywhere. It seems quite tight. This is plastic, so don't force it because you will break it. Oh yeah, there's a bit of corrosion there. Don't know if you can see it, but there we go. So you can tell the difference. That's nice and smooth. Before it was locked up on the first thread, and you do not want to force it, because if you force it, you've ruined it. I'm going to rebuild kit, so I'm very careful. We'll remove the pump and we'll see what's going on with the pump. If the gasket in here seems okay, let's make sure I can actually break these free. Just I don't want any muck getting inside. These carbs are, well, not actually worked on one of these, but they're all very similar and they're all usually pretty straightforward. Nothing really too technical with them. But if you start tampering, you tend to find you need a new gasket. And that's laying nice and flat. This is where the fuel comes in, so that's actually original fuel. You see the fuel in there? So the fuel comes from the tank into here, goes through that valve, goes through here, and then into this valve here. But luckily, because this is fuel from probably 20 years ago or even longer, it's not got ethanol, so it hasn't actually destroyed the gasket. If this was modern day fuel and this was left for 5 years, that would be destroyed. It would be crusty and hard, but that's really soft. It feels and looks actually pretty new. So do I want to mess about with that? Probably not at the minute. Now, if this runs and I'm happy with it and I want to keep it, because I'm unsure if I'm going to keep this one yet. I only need to keep one saw, I don't need 3 saws. If I decide to keep it, then I probably will come back and probably strip this probably halfway down, thorough clean, rebuild the carb, all that sort of stuff. But for now, I think I'm just going to try and run it. So the next step is to put on the pull start. So that just basically goes on. Let's give it a little tug so it lines up, and then put your bolts back. There was 3, I think one of them was a little shorter, maybe? No. All the same length, so get them in. Pull starts on. Air filter is pretty, well, it's not bad actually, but it's a bit blocked. So in there is nice and clean, so it doesn't suck nothing in that's kind of laying about. That's pretty clean, it's definitely good enough to run. There we go. Let's get some fuel in this. First time fuel in probably some time. So just put a bit in. It's a lot cleaner than what we took out, a bit more. Just like to make sure that the filter is fully covered. Now we have no bar on, just for safety reasons really, because I don't know how this is going to react. So it'll be choke on. Yeah, won't run. Runs off spray. So it gets that far, but it won't run off the carb with the fuel. Now I've took this off already. I've just had a look, and there is fuel in there. I'm trying to make sure there was no blockage in this hose, because this hose can deteriorate inside and break down and actually block fuel, but there's fuel coming in, so it's not that. So the carb itself is dirty. So how do I get this off? Not entirely sure. I'm guessing we need to remove this first, and possibly this linkage. So we'll have to remove the fuel line. Oops, washer there. Remove the fuel line and the choke and the throttle linkage. So start with these. Going to have to bend that split pin. Just a tad. So we can get that loose. That should be not attached anymore. There we go. So yeah, there's actually a pin going through. Pretty cool. I know it's a daft little thing, but you don't often see that these days. The linkage should be pretty straightforward to get off, but I can't see. Can I just bend it off that way? Will that work? So we need to make a note. We're on the third. Oh, we'll only fit in the third one. Third hole. This should just come out like so. Don't know if that's going to keep leaking. Just put a stud in. Trying to give this a bit of a clean. If anywhere in the chainsaw needs to be clean, it's inside of here, because this is where it sucks the air from. As I've come off, just pull. So we need to remove these screws to remove. Oh, actually, I can get to it. Probably leave it on. This is essentially kind of like a flat floor ball. If you're used to working on generators, it's a variation on that. Oop, that fell off really easy. Yeah, so you can see that is all the old fuel, and it's obviously the needle and seat's working, although it's a bit wonky. That looks a bit low actually. That's normally higher than that. Oh, it's got quite a big stub. Is this fully attached? Right, so that's actually well stuck on there. So you don't want to pull it off because you will rip it if you try to separate it from that. But it's not clicking. It's quite soft. And there's no fuel coming at the bottom. So it's not pierced or anything. So that is actually okay. Let's get this needle and seat out. Just want to hold on to that because it will go flying. Looks good. That's quite a big spring. So we'll remove this side. This has definitely had old fuel in it because modern day fuel would have absolutely destroyed this. Very careful. Look at that. That never normally happens. Nice and soft. It's a bit saggy, but it's not hard and it's not clicking, so it's good. So now, just need to get some carb cleaner. Should I remove them needles? High and low. Don't normally need to remove them. Just going to blast through all these passages, get all the old fuel and rubbish out. So the fuel passes through the valves in the top, through the needle and seat, and then fills this bit here, and then goes to where it needs to go. But it's getting fueled down. Just over half. And 3/4. There we go. Put these back. And then it was 1/4 and then half. So it was about there. So just going to give it a quick blast with the air compressor. The needle threads into this arm and the other end threads into this, and this helps with a pulling up and down. That wasn't actually attached when I took it to bits, so I wonder if that's what the problem was. So the spring goes in, spring goes on that little divot, and then you get your rod, and then you put your rod in that hole and then tighten down the screw. Probably use a smaller screwdriver. Alright, so I've put a bit of holes on. That's your needle and seat now. I wonder, I mean, it is quite tricky to hook that on, but I wonder if that's what the problem was. Tell you what, we'll build the other end first. So this goes like so. That goes there. Put these screws back in. Now we need to use quite a wide screwdriver for these. If I use this one, it'll destroy the heads. It's quite thin and narrow. You just want to nip them up all equally. If this is working, see, you can't hear the fuel. I'm blowing in the hose. So when that diaphragm is going up and down, it's causing this to open and close. So we know this side is working fine. See, normally you would have this diaphragm off and you would hook it on and then fold the diaphragm over, but I can't. I've not got that luxury. So it's really complicated to show you guys, but you got to get that hook into the diaphragm. There we go. So that is now connected up. So I wonder if that was the issue all along. I probably should have cleaned the carb, to be fair. Like, it's been stood for probably 20 years, probably longer. I mean, this was in my dad's shed at the very back. I didn't even know you had it, so he's not shown it to me in the last 10-20 years, I don't think. In the 90s, my dad went through a phase of hoarding lots of stuff, and I think it's probably from then. So when he probably got this, it was probably like 5 or 10 year old. It probably would have been what I consider now like a modern saw. There we go. Right, back in the saw. The choke goes in there like so. If we just start the pin, so it's in there, but not engaging. I went over there, like so. Get the throttle linkage back in actually, while the carb's loose. There we go. Make sure that's fully. There we go. And the choke must have been in the bottom one, because the top one is too high up. Use a screwdriver to push that pin back in. There we go. And split pins, you've got to just split the back end on it so it doesn't come back out. There you go. I bent the pin. I just held it. So I just held the pin so it wouldn't rotate, and then use the screwdriver to to bend the back. The throttle is on. And it's throttling. Good. I feel. You think it would leak from the cap? Isn't that valve on there? Right, get this back on there. Could do have a proper clip on there really, but I don't have any. I'm sure a cable tie will do for now. I've pushed the grommet, this one here, this rubber grommet, forward so that it seals the hole there. I've blown this out of air fuel line is on, cable tied. We should be ready to try and start this thing up once again. Choke on, throttle locked. Let's give it a go. A bit more choke. I've set the, well, I can't remember what I did now. I think I put it about 1.5, just over 1.5, maybe on the low. On the high, I put it at about 1, and I just bumped up the idle slightly. But it's running. It's a bit rough. It's not perfect, but you can't really tune this without the bar and chain on. So the next step is to put the air filter and the chain and the bar back on, the cover back on, and we'll fire it up and see if we can get the thing tuned. So one thing to check on your bar is that this hole here is clear. This one's not too bad on this side. As you can see, it comes through there like so. But this side is full, which means if you were to run this with that side up against the actual saw, the oil possibly might not go through this hole. Now it is just soft material and it probably would just blow through, but you're best off making sure that's nice and clear. If you have some compressed air, and make sure the channel is nice and clear. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect because the chain will clean it, but chain and the bar. I'll put the bar on first. Yeah, keep it that way. It's pretty even, to be fair. It's not overused on one side. So the chain, just make sure that the part at the front here is at the front and the tooth is at the back. Don't put it the other way around because it will not cut. It is the right chain for this bar, and it is the right chain for the sprocket, so I've checked that already. Essentially this little nub has to go in that hole, and that is what adjusts the tension. It's quite clever, but it's like quite a, you know, strong spring to control. I'm not too sure if you're meant to push this back and kind of like lock it in somehow, like lock it there, but it keeps going back towards the front. So I'm just going to try and basically put it on. What I did last time is just basically put the cover on, put your nuts on, and then I pull this back and try to find that hole, which is there. Now I don't know if that's the right way to do it. It works, and all you need to do literally is lift the bar up, and this does all the work for the tension. So make sure so slacken that off. Retighten that back up. Now I'm probably going to have to do this again because this chain has not run for many years, probably decades. So once it's up to temp and it's been used once or twice, I'll probably just release these nuts, let it take its tension back, and then it should be okay. The next step is to start it up, and I'm going to tune the carb, or try to tune the carb. There's loads of videos on how to do it. Essentially, get the thing running, set the idle so that the chain's just starting to move. Then you set the low speed. You kind of you take it in, take it out. When it starts to bog down either way, you kind of find this like the sweet spot. That should be the low speed set, and then rev it up, and then set your high speed needle. So the saw is running, as you guys have just seen. Spent a bit of time tuning it. So the low needle is 1 turn and 3/4 out. The high is 3/4 out from fully in. That is perfect carb setting to start at. Before you tune, I change it slightly, but not much. It's pretty much factory settings on there now. Running great. Throttle response is very good. It does not bug or cut out on full throttle. It sounds about right. I haven't actually got my gauge, I can't find it, so I can't pinpoint exactly what RPM it's running at. The only thing that I've really noticed is the chain. So there is a clutch in here which drives the chain. The chain will not stop at idle, so I assumed that's what took so long, because I thought it was idle that was causing the chain to go around. I've tried all things with the low needle and the idle, trying to get this thing to run without the chain moving. As soon as you get to a point where the chain is almost stopping, it cuts out or it bogs down. It's just not enough. So I've put the idle back to how it should be. Throttle response, everything is perfect. The carb is working exactly as it should. It's oiling, as you guys have seen. It was all over the floor. Pretty messy, these things. I don't mind working on them, but it's definitely the downside is they make a hell of a mess. They spray oil everywhere, and just I prefer generators, but it is what it is. Yeah, so that leads me to think the clutch is at fault. So I don't really want to take the side back off and pull the clutch off and start inspecting all that. I'm pretty sure it's probably the springs have stretched, so it needs new springs. So that could be a video I could do it at a later date. This video is pretty long as it is. This has took me many hours. This is supposed to be one of several things I was going to be working on today, and I've so far dedicated most of my day just to this. But we got it running. We found out loads of things wrong with it. The hose, the fuel tank was obviously pretty gross. The oil tank was gross. They've all been cleaned, filled back up, hose replaced. Spark plug is cleaned, compression test done. Chain bar all cleaned, nice and shiny now. It's all oiled up. It's a good quality little machine now. It just needs a bit of use, but we do need to address the clutch, I guess, even just to confirm what I believe is the issue. These are very old, so the springs are probably just stretched out and the clutch is no longer returning back to the centre. So the clutch, so it'll be similar to this. That is your clutch. Them are the clutch springs here, and when the engine is at idle or off, this is compacted. When you rev it up, the clutch expands out and grips the drum, which turns the chain. And I believe that they are just always expanded out because the springs aren't pulling the clutch back in. It's probably what the problem is, but we'll address that in a later video. But I think I can pretty much wrap this up for now in this video and call it a day, and I'll bring you guys back to have a look at the clutch later down the line. Till next time, see you later.